Welcome back to Benny's Custom Works, proudly supported by Sparesbox and Valvoline. Today we're down here at Ministry of Fabrication. We've got Liam and Maddie's hiding over the other side, and we're going to be caging the IS600 today. So the plan is pretty much to knock out a really nice bolt-in 4-point cage, and with these guys' help, hopefully we'll be able to execute it. Oh lordy, it's heavier than I remember.
All right, so Benny's struggling to get the seat out here, and the biggest problem is pulling it out and scratching the car. So the easiest method is when you remove the seat, is to tilt it towards the center of the car to get rid of the steering wheel and roll it out.
Just scratch that door trim there while you do it.
Oh shit, I can't swear.
Got the seats out of the way. What's next for the process?
So we need to find a suitable location to put the cage. Benny's a big tall fella, so we're going to try and push it as hard back against the rear seats as we can. We're going to make sure we've got access underneath the car, and we'll start chipping some sound deadening and drilling some holes, I reckon. So we've found a suitable location in the back of the car. We've removed the sound deadening. We're going to start folding up some plates for the floor and then start drilling some holes. It's really important to take the edges off because paint doesn't stick to the edges. It'll end up with a black line, especially on something like a white cage. So now we've got to take the mill scale off the top. Everything's TIG welded. And mill scale and TIG welding does not go together.
Yeah, okay.
So we need to have it as clean as possible. So we're just going to grind it off the top with a purple Scotch-Brite wheel. This is the most efficient way. You can sand it, but it takes a lot longer.
We've got the mounting plates in. Is the next part of the process to design the main hoop?
Yeah, so we're going to take measurements off the actual car that's already there and transfer it into the computer.
Yeah, right.
And that's going to give us our bends and stuff like that, where we start. We're going to make one. If it doesn't fit how I want, we're going to redo it. We try and work off a 5 to 10 mil tolerance. Anything more than that's just not acceptable. It's acceptable in my book.
So is that, when you say 10 mil tolerance, is that to the
have,
car?
Yeah, 10 mil off the roof, 10 mil off the sides. Just give as much room as possible.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're not hugging the pillar on this particular one, but I'm assuming if you guys are doing, say, a 6-point cage, you're going to be pretty tight on the body lines and
nothing worse,
on door trims and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, nothing worse than a big dude hopping in a small car and then hitting your head on the roll cage. It's just, it's not good.
I'll be the big dude in a small car.
Yeah, so I am a little bit worried about your harness heights and having the bars through the hoop. So we'll probably put the X in the backstays, just so you got full movement of the seat.
Yeah, cool.
Be much nicer.
Yeah, nice.
Cool. Right, let's rough some measurements.
Get some measurements.
Put it on the computer. All right, there are 5 main measurements for a hoop. You got to cross the floor from the floor to the top of the B pillar, and then from the top of the B pillar to the roof, and actually across the roof itself. We need to get them within a 10 mil tolerance to make it fit properly and be a nice product. So yeah, we'll just get into that. Probably come a little bit further forward than that, maybe 10 mil, that's it. That's it. I want to be about 10 mil off either side. So go with 1360, I reckon, that's good. The most hardest measurement is across the roof. It's working with a really tight tolerance. There's not much room for error. So we're going to take the measurement and build up a test hoop to make sure it fits perfect. So we've entered our measurements in the computer. Bentek's pretty good software to use. We use that to transfer our measurements to go into our bender, so it gives us the absolute bend locations for the tube heading into a rotary die bender like we've got here. It gives us the total length of the tube, where each bend starts, and the angle of the tube, which we just easily got to enter in our system here, and it will bend it the same every time. This is obviously to make it slide better along the tube, makes the tooling last a lot longer and just preserves it. If the tooling's broken or damaged, it's just going to affect the tube. So I'm just trying to match the pillar angle at the moment. It's just going to make it look a lot cleaner and nicer, like it's supposed to be there. And your seat is never vertical either. So this will just be a guide at the moment. We'll tack the feet on at the bottom and start measuring up the bars for the backstays. Get some notches, lock it into its position and go from there.
Well, we've come to a pivotal point in manufacturing this cage where it actually gets cut apart and removed from the vehicle for the last time, realistically. And Liam's actually going to tack the backstays all together on the bench. Oh, sorry, weld them on the bench, should I say, not tack them. And while he's doing that, Maddie and I are going to have a look at the seating position and make sure that we put the harness bar in the correct spot. With this particular setup, we are not going to be 100% to the millimetre for my position because other people probably will end up driving this car. So I want to have it so that it can suit other people rather than being more of a one-size-fits-all than a tailor-made thing for me. So we're trying to keep broad safety in mind rather than a exactly to the letter 6'2" guy weighing 100 and something kilos lol to suit this setup. So yeah, Maddie and I are going to chuck the seat back in, have a look at the bar while Liam's zipping up our rear stays, and then we're going to combine it back together for a test fit again, I believe. Once that's all done, we're actually going to pack up for the day. The cage is going to go to paint, and then in a couple of days we'll come back, reinstall it, and hopefully it'll still fit.
We're going to set it up for more like 10 degrees. Because because I think it's likely you're going to put a lower seat in here eventually. It's not going to be higher.
Yep.
So we're aiming for the lowest possible position to set the harness bar up, so it'll work with whatever seat, whatever driver. I think that's a pretty good angle right there, pretty safe sort of angle. And pretty roughly this height for a bar. And we'll put some guides on there so the harnesses don't slip around.
So we're putting gussets onto the X. It's a requirement for Motorsport Australia / CAMS cages. The biggest problem with this type of stuff in metal is it's going to have a non-painted surface on the inside. So we're just spraying primer on the inside so it doesn't rust for future use. The last thing I want is for Ben's cage to become rusty if he had an accident one day. At the end of the day, we want these products to outlive us, and with their design, I'm sure they will.
Well, the boys have actually removed the cage now and it's already loaded up. It's going to come back super nice, clean, painted in 2K paint. And then we're going to come back down here and throw it in. Liam at Ministry of Fab's just given me a call, let me know that the cage is painted. So now we're going to go back down there and fit the cage up. Because this is obviously a bolting cage, not a welding cage, you've got to assemble it in pieces. So we've now got our main hoop sitting in the car, and my first reaction was to actually put the bolts in the floor, but the boys say that we want to actually assemble the cage somewhat in the car first. Then, as if you were going to install this with no holes drilled, you get it to basically where the cage is comfortable in the car, take a couple of measurements and make sure it's square. Then you would drill all your holes and then bolt the cage together and bolt it into the car for the final time. So now we're going to put the backstay in, we're going to put the bolts in loosely, then we're going to settle it around the car, make sure it's happy, make sure the holes still line up, and then basically do the final tighten, and then we're good to go. Specifically, please bring black Sikaflex. Turns out I didn't read the tube that well this morning when I dropped into the hardware shop, but no worries, we'll keep going. I've used it fairly sparingly so it's not going to bubble out everywhere. So we'll only cover half our hands in it, not like the usual full coating that we're used to. So once you've got your cage in and mounted in the car, you want to make sure that you get all of your bolts in finger tight before you go tightening any of them. Because if you start tightening one corner up, you may find that you end up not being able to get the bolts in the backside, or the cage may move around just enough that it's really difficult to install. So yeah, just a handy little tip to make sure when you are assembling your cage, or any assembly really, a lot of things, if you're not tightening them up in sequence or together at the same time, can walk and move around. So it's good practice with any assembly to put all the bolts in finger tight, then go around and retighten all of them together. Well, it's been a pretty full-on couple of days down here at Ministry of Fabrication. First, I want to say a massive thank you to the boys. The cage has truly exceeded my expectations. It's by far the nicest bolting cage I've ever seen. Having fitted a few of them in the past, pretty much every question or every answer I was looking for was addressed with this cage without even asking for it. So yeah, thanks for the fantastic product. The design is super easy. It's got plenty of room if you do need to store stuff in the back for a track day. The one thing I was concerned about was potentially losing some of that back seat storage, because normally we go up on an open carrier, so a lot of stuff gets packed in the back. So yeah, all of these design features have just gone above and beyond. The joining sockets are super neat. There's none of these kind of old janky slip joins, and it's just super neat and really well designed. And yeah, can't thank you guys enough for that. In saying that, you guys have been pumping these cages out for quite a while. I know before off camera you guys were saying you've done in excess of 3,000 cages between you, so if that's not an endorsement, I don't know what is. You guys obviously have also done a lot more busier cages or more involved cages than this as well, I guess. Like, this is kind of your track day cage. This is actually the third cage that these guys have done for us as well. Adam Sylvia's got one in as well, and another mate of mine's got one of their cages as well. So after seeing those two myself, I was just like, I got to have one of these in the IS. And as a bonus, these guys haven't actually done an IS200 cage before with no sunroof. So for anyone that has an IS200 with or without a sunroof, these are the guys to see for a cage. And they also do a lot of other cages as well. So by all means, check out Instagram, Facebook. We'll definitely leave a link in the description. So yeah, these guys are pumping out tons of cages all the time. The Yaris cage is really nice as well. They've actually got a couple of Yaris cages they're putting together at the moment. It's the nicest one I've seen available for a Yaris as well, so well worth the money. The Ministry of Fab logo being stainless and you guys polished that up, that's a super nice touch that I was really impressed with when I saw Adam's cage. My one question today was, what's that made out of? Because I thought potentially that's going to corrode when you've polished it back, but these guys have thought of everything. It's literally made out of stainless steel, nicely TIG welded on, and then it's painted and sort of back cleaned. So yeah, all these questions I've had, they've already looked at that stuff well before I'm here asking the questions, so full props to them. Yeah, fantastic facility. They've definitely done their homework on building these products, and also having this set up here. It's a really awesome resource, and yeah, I can't thank you guys enough. I'm honestly so stoked with that, and yeah, can't wait to get to the track.
No problems, Benny. Thank you very much for coming down. It's
been
an absolute pleasure.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. Yeah, and I do appreciate the time you guys have taken out of your other projects for work here. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff going on in the background. Maddie's actually also doing the Shipbox Rally as well, so we'll leave a link in the description. So if you want to support that, please check it out.
That'd be great.
Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.